Oh, hi there, everyone. It's Linda here from Just for Tummies, and welcome to my video today, where I will be speaking to one of our favourites, rapid transformational therapist Rosalyn Palmer. Now, this video will be on our YouTube channel, the Just for Tummies YouTube channel, and we'll also be sharing it in a newsletter. It will be on Facebook as well, so there'll be plenty of places to view it if you haven't got time to watch or listen to it today. So let me bring Ros into the video.
Hi, I was desperately trying to eat some soup there.
Oh, homemade, I hope.
100%. I'm on my detox. I'm being really
What was
good.
it? What was in it?
It's just lots of different vegetables, mostly cabbage.
All right.
Cabbage, tomatoes, leeks, red peppers. I put lentils in as well, so it's
Yeah,
very
so
good, but pretty much
extra
fat-free.
protein.
Yeah, fat-free, but quite filling.
Oh, now then, methinks you're not on a diet, are you?
I'm on a detox. I always do a January detox.
Yeah.
But I am hoping to lose about half a stone as well, Linda. That would be very
Oh, is
handy.
that all?
Well, more would be good, but I'm being realistic. So
Yes.
I've
Yes.
lost 2 pounds already since January the 2nd. So
That's
I'm
good.
just I'm just being good. No caffeine, no
Yes.
alcohol, no dairy, no sugar, and just being very disciplined.
Yeah. I'm doing the same actually. So
Yeah.
I started on the second as well. I weighed myself. I don't normally weigh myself,
Yes.
but I did. I thought, well, I need to weigh myself. I need to know, how much I weigh now. And yeah, and I started off with a 5-day charcoal detox.
Yes.
Um, I did that, but yeah, no alcohol, no caffeine, no dairy, no gluten. Obviously, no processed food at all.
I don't eat that anyway, pretty much, but
No,
nothing. Yeah, not even a snack. When you're out and about, it was like, oh,
no,
I
no.
know, I'll have an apple.
But the thing is, Ross, it does take more time, don't you think? Because I find that I'm having to shop nearly every day,
Yeah, well, I'm
for
juicing
all the
every
fresh
morning.
stuff.
I'm starting every day with celery juice,
Yeah.
and it just takes ages. It does take ages, and it takes ages to clean the juicer, and so I'm batching. I'm trying to make 2 or 3 days at a time because it,
Yeah.
it is quite time consuming. Yes, it's time consuming being good, isn't it, Linda?
It's very time consuming being good and trying to be healthy, but we do need to, we do
We
need
do.
to make time for
We
these
do.
things.
We do.
So anyway, Ross, it's great to see you.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
And
Happy New Year.
oh yeah, very happy New Year to you too. I haven't made any New Year's resolutions.
No, I never do. What's the point?
No.
I'm constantly reassessing and reevaluating my goals. It's an ongoing process. I don't
Mm,
need either. I don't need January to do it, and also I think you can set yourself up for failure because it's
yes.
you suddenly have this almost to-do list on being perfect, and it all
No,
becomes
I
too
know.
much. Mm.
No, and we women of a certain age, we don't kind of buy into all that, do we?
No, no, new year, new you. I mean, it's always good to reevaluate. And I do always do the detox in Jan because we overindulge. But then I can enjoy overindulging in
Yes,
Christmas.
yes, yes,
Because a lot of people just get it wrong all the time. They go through Christmas, but they feel guilty all the time. And then they make these resolutions and break them and feel even more guilty. And I don't need to feel crap about myself. there's enough there's enough things in the world that can trouble us, aren't there,
yes,
Linda?
yes, yes,
Without us adding to the burden.
yes. Anyway, what's it like in the Lincolnshire Wolds? I bet you've been for a walk this morning, haven't you?
I've been around the paddock because I'm at home
Yes.
and I'm doing the final touches to my book. So I started the day with an editorial meeting.
Mm,
And Kev's out, so I'm in charge of all the animals. It's
mm,
lovely, actually. It's
mm,
blue sky. It's
mm.
frosty underfoot. It's not great when you've got loads of animals because you have to go around defrosting all their water. People
Oh
forget.
yes, yes.
So I've been out armed with a kettle, kettle quite a lot. The kettle and a big stick,
A big
breaking
stick.
breaking the ice, putting the kettle in, making sure everything's not frozen.
And
So,
how are you getting on? Just before we start, you know, with what we want to talk about. But how are you getting on with the no dig gardening? I should imagine everything's pretty much frozen, isn't it?
well, yes, well, I haven't really properly started it apart from to build the framework. So I
Ah.
am actually, you know what they say, if what is it? Fail to plan and plan to fail. I've actually planned it, Linda. So I have been composting since autumn. I've got 2 massive compost bins. We've now built the framework of the no dig garden using railway sleepers,
Yeah.
reclaimed railway sleepers.
Mhm.
I'm now sourcing some sort of small greenhouse to cultivate seeds and everything in. And I'm reading books on companion gardening and companion planting. So
Oh.
I won't really plant until probably March, April time.
And
I've got
what are you intending to plant then?
veggies. I'm going to grow veggies. So we
Yeah.
need to bring 2 tons of soil in and then add my beautiful compost to the soil.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, veggies. So the kind of veggies I love. So I'd like to do aubergine, which is probably why I need a bit of a greenhouse because they can be a bit
Mm.
temperamental.
Mm.
I don't really know yet, Linda, to be honest. I mean, certainly not. If you go around the fields here, I think it would be rather silly to grow either potatoes or cabbages
Oh, and onions.
or onions because there's literally fields and fields and fields and fields of them. So probably runner beans, peas, carrots, courgettes I love, aubergines, all the things I really love. So it'll be a bit of an experiment this year. But I
And
will,
you know your compost bins?
yes.
Have you added worms as well?
No, but I bought a book called Compost, and it's by this guy, and I can't remember his name, but I've done it exactly as per his instructions. So I started with cardboard and then wood, and then I've had layers of different things. But I've got obviously lots of sheep poo and chicken poo, which is really good. So I keep putting layers of that in, and then every leftover vegetable that the animals don't eat. So no, you don't need worms with this version. It becomes, I can't think what they call it, but it becomes very hot. It
Mm.
becomes very hot and it
Oh, so
breaks.
it ferments. It
Yeah, it
ferments. Yeah.
ferments and breaks everything down. So if you follow his plan, you don't need worms.
It sounds really exciting.
I know, can
And
you? I'm so excited. I'm excited about compost, Linda. Where have we got to?
I
What
know,
was
I know. Well, let's get going then, Ross. So,
that?
I know you as a friend, as a trusted voice in personal transformation, and as a favourite from our past videos. But for those of you who don't know you, can you give us a brief potted history?
Wow, what brief?
I know, Ross. I know we could talk for hours about yeah,
I'll tell
your
you what I'm going to tell you, which is very relevant to my new book.
okay.
So, for many years, and if you Google me and you look me up, and if you knew me in my former life, I was a poster girl for, you know, Maggie Thatcher's generation. I was a grocer's daughter, came from humble backgrounds, went to a comprehensive, then went to London, did a degree in English, hit the big time. I went into PR. I worked for AbFab, Lynn Franks, which is what that TV program was based on. I was mingling with celebs and royalty, and really, I know people like to say it, but truly, I've worked for the Duke of Edinburgh. I worked for the Rolling Stones. So that life, and then I had my own PR. I had a brief time in marketing, in publishing, even in an ad agency life, but it was Wolf of Wall Street, but not quite, but pretty
Mm.
much the 80s and the 90s. Ended up having my own PR company, phenomenally successful, millionairess at 40, big house, sold the house, sold the company, moved to the Bahamas. All sounds like super aspirational and amazing. And in many ways it was. And I've certainly enjoyed some very special and exciting things in my life and met some truly amazing people. Yet it was a mask. A lot of it was a mask. And behind the scenes, I was glued together in good ways. Luckily, I discovered lots of complementary medicine right from being in my late 20s, because I was at Lynn Frank's and they were all Buddhists and very much into different things. So I've always embraced incredible holistic practices, colonics. I used to go to the Hale Clinic. In fact, I went in after Princess Diana once.
Yeah.
Um, so colonic, lots of things that certainly my background in Nottingham wouldn't have lent myself to, and that people thought I'd gone a bit bonkers over. And also I worked with all the world's leading personal development gurus, because I ended up doing the PR for Tony Robbins and a whole bunch of people, Edward de Bono, the who's who really of all of that world. And so I was very immersed in the 90s in life in the fast lane, kind of Wolf of Wall Street, and also woo woo over here, and really taking care of my mental and physical health. Unfortunately, a lot of things derailed that, and really stress, but not having good capital right from being a child, because I was very, very, very ill as a child, and my gut was pretty much destroyed through 7 years of antibiotics, Linda. I don't think I need to explain to you what that would do.
No.
So a lot of very major illnesses arrived, dengue fever, I had cancer. And then while I was in the Bahamas, my life imploded, unfortunately, thinking that I'd managed to get away with everything and it was all marvelous. And I had lots of money in an offshore account and awards on the sideboard and literally poster girl for, well done you. It all went horribly wrong. And so I ended up a single unemployed mother back in England with 2 kids some years later, and had to completely reinvent myself, which is probably about the time we met. And I went into marketing. I worked for a training and development company, and then I worked for an international charity that was really amazing, the Leprosy Mission. Spent a lot of time in Africa and India, got my life very into perspective. There's nothing like standing in a slum in Mumbai with people with no hands and who are blind and own only a cup, to put your own woes into perspective. And I did have some terrible times. I had some true dark nights of the soul. I had a time when, in a very short period of time, my dad had a stroke. I had the cancer. My mum got terminal pancreatic cancer. The divorce went through. I found out he'd lost the money. So a lot of the things that, one of those would derail a lot of people. And I'm not saying it that I'm tougher than anybody else, but somehow I had grit and some inner resilience that actually stopped me from killing myself, to not put too fine a point on it, Linda, or to actually get through, and actually not just get through, but to thrive on the other side, and to actually be grateful that I'd actually been through all of that adversity, because it gave me such insight and compassion about what matters in life, and what matters in this world, and what matters over and above material things. So when I trained as a rapid transformational therapist at the request of Marissa Peer, who created the discipline 9 years ago now, I took to it like a duck to water, because obviously I'd had a lot of therapy. I'd been broken. PR and marketing are very important to have massive insights into human psychology and behavior. My time working with all the world's leading gurus in the 90s, it all added up, like if it was a Venn diagram, to kind of, you are here in the middle. And it has actually been very, very successful, because I bring all of those different things. I bring that high-powered business background. I bring that hiding behind a mask. I bring that imposter syndrome, the girl from the comprehensive rubbing shoulders with the royal family. I bring that I'm so broken I don't think I can go on for one more day. I bring all of that. And so I don't just bring my training, because obviously I'm highly trained in rapid transformational therapy. So I was a trainer and probably trained about 1,000 people in the methodology. And I'm a coach, I'm an NLP coach. So I don't just bring that as some sort of abstract thing that I bring to my clients. What I bring to
all your life experiences.
I bring me.
And which you have many.
also have realised I bring a great sense of humour, Linda.
Oh,
I bring a
well, that's crucial, and I'm just laughing, Ros, because a couple of days ago that
in fact, I'm going to eat my homemade soup, everybody.
you
I
have
hope
some
you
soup
don't
in
mind.
it. The Ladybird book of the new
Oh,
you.
yes. It's so
Hilarious.
funny.
And that bit you sent me on WhatsApp, I've just got to share it because I just I just laughed out loud when I read it. Just let me see if I can see if I can find it. Oh yes. For her 45th birthday, Nicola treated herself to a £120 session with a 26-year-old life coach who gave her an ex-library copy of the book on the taboo against knowing who you are and some tips on how to get in touch with her inner life coach. When Nicola phones to complain some weeks later, the life coach tells her that he is no longer a life coach, he is now a change mentor. It's hilarious. I bought that book. It's coming
It's
today.
so funny because I've been writing my latest book, and much as I love writing, that's my thing. I did a degree in English literature. I'm a wordsmith.
Yeah.
It's hard, Linda. It's hard when and you're proofing the proof of the proof, and you're like, did I change that sentence 5 times? And you start to lose perspective on it. And that book has just made me laugh so much. The other one is Dilbert. I don't know if you remember Dilbert from back in the 90s, but
The name rings a bell.
Dilbert got me through the 90s. So Dilbert's all about the madness of working in an office and of corporate life. So anybody who's having a bad day, I really suggest that you find Dilbert or the lady. These adult Ladybird books are really hilarious. There's one on dating actually, which I gave Kev when we first got together. That one's also hilarious. But I think the new you is particularly funny, isn't it?
Very funny, yes, yeah. So, right, okay, here we go then.
Yes.
So you talk about finding balance in life, not necessarily change the life we already have, but find balance in it. Is that, have I got that right, Ros? What do you mean?
Yes, no, that's right. So yes, absolutely. So can I do an unashamed plug for my book now? Because I think it's all very relevant. So this is the front cover. Sorry, I don't actually have a book.
Yeah, that's very clear, yes.
Reset Your Life in 7 days. So I want to just mention that, not because I want to unashamedly plug it, because
I want to unashamedly plug it for you, Ros, and we're going
it's
to
really good actually, Linda. I have to say, I spent this morning doing a final edit, and I've set out to write a shortish ebook. I was like, let's just revisit my reset book, which is now 6 years old.
The blueprint, yes.
Let's just revisit it. Let's see which bits I really love, and let's marry the bits I love with all the advice I've been given for the last 6 years, things that have moved on, my thinking that's moved on. But the biggest thing that's moved on is me, and going on a massive spiritual journey. And so I've had a very big spiritual awakening. I'm a lot more woo-woo.
Oh, sorry, Ros, just hang on a sec then. So what you're saying is, since you wrote your original book, Reset, a Blueprint, you say that you've had a spiritual journey since you wrote that book?
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, there's a chapter in that book, as you know, Linda, about how I always had a spiritual side, a very strong spiritual side, but that I didn't necessarily talk about it because I was always suited and booted and, being very professional and very, very sensible and saying I'm your go-to coach and therapist if you're a 6-figure earning billionaire or millionaire, and I genuinely do get those people. I genuinely do. I genuinely do get those people, and I get it because I get the pressures that they're hiding behind that perfect mask. And particularly since lockdown and even before, and lockdown in particular in 2020, it was like, well, we can't go anywhere. So where do you go? Well, you go within. And I really have for years wanted to really work with some spiritual teachers, if you like, to awaken parts of me that I don't think I've only had glimpses of. Okay, so a much more knowing side, a much more spiritual side, if you like, a clairvoyant side, if you like, the real woo-woo side, which I've always known was there, but never really harnessed, never really had somebody nurture for me, and actually was a bit afraid of it, to be honest, Linda. It was a bit like, oh, I don't know, I don't know, all that's a bit strange, somebody who grew up very Church of England.
Mm.
um
But sometimes you just have to let go, don't you, Ros? Just let
yes,
go and let it happen.
totally. So I've done that for the last certainly 5 or 6 years, but actually been on courses, gone on retreats, read a lot about comparative religions, about spirituality. I do yoga, as you know, and I'm now a mishmash, if you like, and I think a lot of people are, that I still do have a belief in God, a kind of
Mm.
traditional Christian background, if you like. I think the Bible is an amazing book,
Yeah.
as I'm sure is the Quran,
Mm.
and the other great books of every religion. I only am familiar with the Bible because of my personal cultural upbringing. But there is great wisdom in these ancient manuscripts.
Mm.
What's gone wrong over the years is the way that man has interpreted it,
Yeah.
and got very greedy. So people say, oh, I hate religion. And I'll say, I don't like a lot of the organized religions, what they do, but I'm a very great believer in religious roots and spirituality.
Mm.
And because I believe that, and because I don't believe that you should be being punished by an accident of your birth, oh, you happen to grow up Buddhist, you happen to grow up Christian, you happen to grow up whatever, I think God's big enough to kind of, deal with all of it. And so it's led me to, a massive journey, massive, Linda, reading and self-reflection. And so this book now is taking the best bits of Reset, the ones I know anecdotally people go, oh my God, I loved that, or that chapter, or that exercise, or that anecdote I loved. My practice, so nothing informs you like, daily practice and, being with clients. My writings, as you know, I have other books, I've got a newspaper column. And now, because of, I was trying to think of how do I marry that? How do I marry the two? And I
Mm.
came up with the chakras. So the
Ah,
chakras, which are, you'll do it in yoga or,
energy centers, yes. Which is
exactly.
illustrated on the front cover.
Totally. And these are now the colours of the chakras.
That's
So
right, yeah.
those stones,
Mm.
which reflect back to my original book, which is really about balance and cairn stones. But now there's 7 of them and they
Mhm.
reflect the 7 chakras.
Mm.
And the reset in 7 days works perfectly because what I've done is taken each of the chakras and then focusing on it as a chakra, then gone in on all the advice that I'm pulling from all of those other sources. And
Mm.
so it's a
Mm.
really great bridge, Linda, for people who maybe they want to dip their toe into being a little bit more spiritual.
Yeah.
Equally, the other side of the bridge, I know a lot of very spiritual people who aren't very good at operating in daily life.
Mm.
They're not very good about money or being organized or setting themselves priorities or shutting up. And common to all is those themes we have, shutting up the itty bitty shitty committee in your head and all the rest of it. So it is about going within fundamentally, because I truly believe we are all born with the innate power to the intuition, the bigger guidance from something beyond us in a way, and from all of our ancestors and all of our DNA
Mm.
to actually be, not bad people at all. But I think all the noise of modern world and everything that we get faced with is what gets in the way. So
Mm.
I'm giving loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of strategies that I know work because people pay good money to work with me one-on-one, that
Yes.
you can get through all of those things that bombard you every day and stop you just being the nicest version of you can be.
So, reset your life in 7 days. Does it have 7 chapters?
Yes, on
Ah,
the 7, each one on a chakra.
I
I
see.
can tell you if you like. I'm afraid can't run it off without looking at a piece of paper, Linda,
No, that's
because
fine.
I've literally only just finished it. And so let me just, shall I read them? Do you want me to
Yes,
just tell
because
you?
I'd like people to know what they can learn from reading
Yeah,
the book, Ross.
okay. So day 1 is the root chakra. They all have kind of weird names, but I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them. Okay,
Yes.
my yoga teacher would know how to say it. So the root chakra, and so there, that is about stability and resetting the basics. So anchoring yourself by nutrition, sleep,
Mm.
boundaries, gratitude, all the things that are probably in, if you bought a little book of calm, or a little book of well-being, or a little book of I don't know, but healthy living.
Mm.
And so all the kind of physical hacks that you can biohack into your body, that you and I both live by or try and live by, that's your foundation, that's your root. Okay. Day
Yeah.
2 is the sacral chakra, and
Mm-hmm.
that's creativity, passion, and emotional flow. And that's really about reconnecting with your passion and your creativity. So it's really about joy and fun.
Mm.
And as you know, I was somebody who for years did not think that fun was available to me. I
Mm.
was just a complete workaholic. I didn't think, and I used to go, I'm Saturday's child, works hard for it. I'm a grocer's daughter. I grew up above the shop. We work hard, what's what we do. Or I can only have fun when I've got an A, when
Yes.
I've finished all
Yes.
my
When I finish this project, yes. Yeah.
then I can have some time off. Then,
Mhm.
and my body kept giving me a day off by being ill because I wasn't giving myself a day off. And so I had to learn the hard way that joy and fun and retapping into that inner child, if you like, is really important. And obviously, as a hypnotherapist and a rapid transformational therapist, and we use elements of psychotherapy, which is called the inner child work. It's about tapping into that inner child. Now, one thing I've put in this chapter, which I think is really important, I don't see out there a lot, is I have a lot of clients, really high achievers. I've got a transplant surgeon at the moment, a lawyer, all both women, just per chance. And when we start to do this work together, they get seriously upset because they go, I didn't have a very nice childhood. I didn't have fun as a child. My childhood was miserable. I don't know how to tap in to being that child because that time wasn't very nice.
Mm.
So I've now given you tools to actually have maybe the joy of the childhood you never had if you didn't even have it.
Oh, that's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, I had a very happy childhood.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
I count myself very fortunate. I had a lot of freedom as a child. I had two loving parents. I remember just feeling secure, safe, happy.
Little world. I'm the same.
But
I live in
many,
a little world.
yeah, but many children don't have
Well,
that.
even children from the same family, I mean, siblings,
Mm.
they can have a very remembered or
Yes, yes.
emotionally felt different childhood, maybe because of the order they came in,
They
maybe
can. They can. Because
yeah,
if you speak to my sister, the
yeah.
middle child, she will probably tell you a different.
If you speak to my sister, she will tell you different. And it took me a really long time to understand. It was because that 6-year gap between us, she
Mm.
didn't grow up in the same family, if that makes sense.
Yes, of course. It
I
makes
grew up in a more prosperous family. My parents had done better by that time. We moved when I was 5 to a really nice suburb in a really nice neighborhood. She spent most of her childhood in, we lived in quite a deprived area. We had an outside toilet.
Mm.
And the dynamic was different. My grandma lived with us when I was older. So when you say,
Mm.
I used to say, you wouldn't think we grew up in the same family. Well, here's the truth, we didn't. And
Mm.
so it can be really hard for people with a sibling who goes, yeah, but I had a lovely childhood. And they're like not feeling it or actually feeling pain still. So
Mm.
I'm at pains in this book to make those people feel reassured that it's not them, they're not the problem. It was just somehow to do with the syntax, where they came, the time, their personality, what was happening all around them, the world's moved on. Look at a
That's
child.
that's a very good explanation, Ros, and I'm sure that gives a lot of comfort to to people who Didn't
Yes.
have a very happy childhood. I was going to say something else then, and it's gone. Oh, I do this a lot.
No, I
It
know.
might, it
But
might come back to me.
with these, particularly these two clients I mentioned, I've had them in tears saying, I have no anchor for tapping back into fun. I have no, and one of them's a mum now, and she's finding it hard to have fun with her daughter because she doesn't have a reference for it.
That's a shame.
And
So, do you give people strategies? Do you give them tips
totally,
on
this book
how to have fun, on how to
This
be
is
silly?
a strategy book. My old book was great, but it's quite a lot of talk and a lot of anecdotes, and I liked it, and it was the right book to write at the time.
Mhm.
This book is like, here's 6 ways you can fix that. Here's 3 exercises you can do
Oh,
to,
that's great. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what people
exactly.
need. That's great.
100%. So day 3, so that's only day 2. You've already,
Oh, hang
that
on. Let's go
was
back.
day 1 and day 2. Day 3 is the solar plexus,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
empowerment and confidence.
That's the gut area, of course. Yes.
Yes. So that is all about rewiring your faulty software, the rules, the bullshit rules, and the
Mm,
5Fs. So we can hook back onto that.
yes.
And overcoming procrastination and all of that. So that's that one. Day 4 is the heart chakra. That's love, compassion, forgiveness, and authenticity. So
Mhm.
this is all about steps to heal emotional wounds, acknowledge pain, forgive yourself and others, cultivating self-love, cultivating authenticity, and silencing the itty bitty shitty committee in your head.
That
Um,
makes me laugh every time.
that's day 4. Day 5 is the throat chakra, and
Oh.
that's about authentic communication and speaking your truth.
Mhm.
It's finding and honoring your voice, expressing yourself with clarity, courage, and conviction. And again, I've got a really good, I think, point of difference on this one again, because put it this way, nearly everybody I've ever worked with doing pretty straightforward RTT and hypnosis for public speaking, at some point when you regress them or when they go back, they had a hideous childhood experience, usually in the classroom when they were forced to read some awful poem in front of everybody. They got it wrong and everybody laughed at them and they all teased them. And this little voice in their head went, we are never doing that again. We are never doing
Oh.
this again. I do not want to go back to that. That
I
was just,
don't know if I've ever shared this with you
oh, go on.
before,
I have a bit more of my
I
story.
totally understand that because when I was at school and I would be, I'd be 11. I'd be 11. And it wasn't a poem, but the teacher wanted, we were rehearsing a song for some school event. And each line that each pupil had to sing, that pupil had to come to the front of the class and sing that line or 2 lines. Well, I went to the front of the class and I sang my couple of lines, and everyone started laughing at
Oh,
me.
God.
And so I know that that's affected me, certainly in terms of public speaking. Although I have spoken to people in front of hundreds of people,
Yeah.
at various conferences, and of course I'm doing this video now, but I'm just talking to you, aren't I, Rosalyn?
Funny, me and you, Linda, it's fine.
Yeah, but I had that awful experience that kind of affected my confidence for speaking.
Well, look at singing. Singing's a perfect example.
Mm.
How many people do you know who go, oh, I love to sing. I love my voice. Very few. Most people are, I'm not doing that. And if you've ever been to church or a wedding or a funeral,
I
everybody's like,
know, I
it's
know.
awful, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
spent all this time in Africa and India, and Africa in particular. When you arrive in a village in Africa, and I've been to some really remote villages, they run out to meet you, and then they'll all line up and start singing. That's their way of welcoming you. And
Yeah.
literally, the whole village or whoever is there will just burst into song because nobody's told them they're crap. Nobody has ever said to them, oh, Seriously, give that up. Give that up, please don't.
But you see, what was worse, Ros, about my experience, right, was that the teacher didn't put me in the singing group after that.
Oh, I know that. Well, how was that for your confidence? You know,
Except,
brilliant. So
mm,
again, with the throat chakra and expressing your authentic voice,
mm,
a lot of people don't even know what their authentic voice is because they've
mm,
never been able to speak it. They've never felt confident enough to own it. They maybe grew up in a family, children are seen and not heard,
mm,
or they were belittled all the time, or what. Don't so stupid. Don't give us that opinion. So
yeah.
I'm giving them tools to not only reclaim their voice, but actually to truly find it, to truly find their voice. So that's chapter 5 or
Oh,
day
I
5.
can't wait to read it. When is it available, Ross? Is it the
A week
20th?
a week on Monday. Yes,
A week on
only
Monday.
as an ebook for now, but I know
I
it's
know.
I
I
know
know.
it's so good. Sorry to sound big-headed. I'm not, but I'm so proud of it that it will be coming out as a paperback later. Um,
Okay.
so that's day 5. Day 6 is your third eye chakra, intuition, vision, and clarity. That is really about the gut, Linda. So that's all about gut feeling. So I talk quite a bit about the vagal nerve and the mind gut connection and the gut brain connection. It's about clearing mental fog, reprogramming your subconscious, going beyond your limiting beliefs, and really learning how to tap into your intuition. I
Mm,
really like that chapter because
mm,
I
mm,
think for me, that was probably a game changer. I think for me, on a personal level, really learning all of that. And then day 7 is your crown chakra.
mhm.
Ta-dong!
Yeah.
Connection, fulfillment, and spiritual growth, aligning with your higher self, tapping into a deeper sense of purpose. And that's all about quieting that whirligig mind. That's about visualization and gratitude and kind of
Mm,
going beyond yourself, particularly in really difficult times and situations. So
yeah.
that
Yeah,
is 7 days. I
I can
think
I can relate to that as well. I can relate to that, the visualization, because in the early 1990s, when I suffered with chronic fatigue and depression, I couldn't do very much. I couldn't work at the time. And so I did a lot of meditation and I did a lot of visualization. I had two of my own very powerful visualizations that helped me
yeah.
that helped me recover alongside complementary therapies. So I am a massive fan of visualization.
Me too. I mean, I always do vision boards. I don't renew them all the time, but they're great to revisit. When I'm doing an important project like a book, I'll do a vision board for it. I'm going to start writing my first novel in May. I've signed up for a novel writing course.
Oh,
So,
can you give us any details about it? What's it going to be
uh,
about?
yes, I can, very briefly, because I don't want to put it out into the universe too much yet till I've been on the course and decided that that's how it's going to look. But put it this way. In 2002, I went to New York and I went on a screenwriting course called Story with a guy called Robert McGee, and he's the leading kind of screenwriting guru. So Faye Dunaway was on the course, so that's the kind of course it was. It was like Faye Dunaway's on
Oh,
this
you
course.
are a name dropper, aren't
Yeah,
you?
it was so exciting. Faye Dunaway was on the course. I was like, oh my god, oh my
What's
god.
she like?
Oh, she kept herself to herself very much. But I was impressed anyway. And I came up with this really great idea for a screenplay. And in very super outline, because I'm not going to go into details, it's about a very high flyer living a very big high flyy life in London who then crashes and burns in a very spectacular way, ends up going to live in an out island in the Bahamas. Anything sound at all
That sounds
familiar?
familiar.
On an amazing piece of land in the Bahamas that's a farm that their parents own. They have a lot of adventures that some might be with drug dealers and other such people who wash up on those very interesting islands in the Bahamas. I couldn't possibly comment, and all names will be being changed. Any familiarity to people either alive or dead will be entirely coincidental.
Yes.
And ultimately, they create a retreat.
Ah,
So they retreat from their life, but they then are healed through the retreat. And if you remember at Juice Oasis, when we check in, the big sign is the only way forward is to retreat. Well, sometimes the only way forward is to retreat. So it's about redemption. It's about somebody who loses everything. But it's about somebody who actually finds everything. And then,
a lot more, yeah.
I feel that the follow-up books can be about all the wacky retreat people who go and do all the weird and wonderful retreats, or the gurus and all the people who turn up. Because as you know, I've worked with in very close proximity to quite a few of them. So that's fundamentally my novel.
But wacky people are wonderful, aren't they? Eccentric people are they're great.
Yeah. And I think it will have everything. It will have adventure, it will have redemption, it will have what really matters in life, it will have exotic locations, it will have some very, very, very interesting characters who, as I say, will bear no relation to anybody whatsoever who may or may not have ever met in my life. So that's
just going back to your book, your ebook. So it's going to be launched a week on Monday. Yes, Reset Your Life in 7 Days. How much is it, Ros?
Oh my goodness, Linda, I can't even remember. I've priced it so cheaply.
I think it was about £4.20.
About £4, because I actually genuinely went online to one of the the leading coffee places, and I had a look at what a cup of posh cappuccino and maybe a side biscuit was, and I pretty much priced it for the same price, which is why I can genuinely say that for a price of a cup of coffee, you can change your life in 7 days.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Right, so let's move on to. Do you want to say anything else, Ros, about?
No, I think. There's a concluding chapter as well, which is really all about how to keep all those practices going. No, I think I think I've gone through. Sorry, I had to keep looking at my notes, but I don't own it yet, if you know what I mean. It's so fresh and new. In a year, when I've talked about it a lot, I'll be able to reel all that off without looking down, but not today.
So your 5F formula for living a better life, was this something that you were aware of before you trained in rapid transformational therapy, or is it something you've honed, this formula, since being a therapist?
Before.
Oh, okay.
So yes, good question. Sorry, I'm wearing the wrong glasses. I'm just swap my glasses over. I've got glasses for my screen and then glasses for reading.
Have you got varifocals?
No, I'm just I'm old-fashioned, Linda. I just pick up different pairs of glasses. When I was working for Tony Robbins, when I was doing Tony Robbins PR, I went to a seminar, part of his Mastery University, and it was called Wealth Mastery. And I can't remember. I think it was in Phoenix. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. And we were all there very excited, with our, back in the day, big ring binder, massive ring binder, massive. And it was all about, how I'm going to be wealthy. And we spent the whole first morning, how much money do I need to have absolute wealth, and lots of very financial information. There was then stuff about mindset. But then I would say about day 3, a guy spoke to us, and he had been a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War, an American, very high-ranking member of one of the forces. And he spoke about what truly mattered in life. And he didn't quite coin it as the 5Fs, but he had a profound effect upon me, when I was listening to him about what really mattered and about what wealth truly meant. And he was talking about wealth meant freedom, and wealth meant your health, and wealth meant your family, and wealth meant your connections, because they kept this man in solitary confinement for something like 2 or 3 years. And wealth meant all of those things, and it was a real awakening on about day 3, when we've just been like money.
Yes.
Finance. I'm going to be a millionaire. I mean, ironically, I ended up a millionaire. So clearly I took that on board, and I do actually have economics A level, so I'm actually quite financially savvy. But it was a massive awakening that wealth and finance are not the same thing. That to be wealthy is, you know,
Mm.
all of that. And so I held that right from then. It was about 1995. And when I was head of marketing and communications for the Leprosy Mission, and that is a Christian charity, so it's very
Yeah,
much
it
about
is.
Christian values, and they help all these people who are the lowest of the low, you know, because they're in India, they're below the Dalits, the untouchables. People with leprosy are below them. They're like so low down the system that people don't even give them the. Well, I mean, they're changing. They are changing in India, but traditionally that's not been good.
Mm.
And I stood in slums and I stood in terrible villages. I mean, I don't mean terrible as in, but there was nothing there. With
Mm.
I saw a child one day play with the lens out of a pair of sunglasses. The lens, not
Mm.
the sunglasses, but the lens.
Mm.
And they virtually had nothing, and yet they were some of the most joyful and hospitable and
Mm.
wonderful people I'd ever met. And I realized that the only thing they didn't have was money.
Mm.
They had all the other things. So over this incubation period of probably about the mid 90s until the kind of mid late 2010s, this thought I incubated. And because I'm very good because of my PR background at making things succinct and memorable, somewhere along the line I came up with, you've got 5 fingers, so you have 5 F's. And so to have
Mm.
a life of balance and to be truly wealthy, you
Mm.
need faith. And that's faith either in yourself, in God, in the universe, in life, in nature, but faith in something beyond yourself. Friends and family, so that's your tribe, if you like. And it
Well,
might,
we'll come to those actually, because
okay,
I want to cover each one if you don't mind, Ross.
yes, okay. So I
And
came up with 5 F's.
do you cover the 5 Fs in your ebook? Do you mention
I
them?
do, I do. It's
Right.
covered. It's covered in it's covered in day 3, solar plexus, empowerment, and confidence.
Okay, right. That's great. Thank you. So let's come to the first one then, which is faith. Is that
Yes,
correct? Faith.
yes.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot about faith in my book because it's this new book is a faith-led book in a way. It's about spirituality. It's about
Mm.
faith in nature, faith in yourself, faith in that inner wisdom, faith in something beyond yourself.
Mm.
And when I mentioned right at the beginning, when you asked me to tell people about me, and I said there was some grit, some resilience, something that got me through the darkest nights of the soul. And that was a faith, really. It was a faith. And I clearly grew up traditionally in a Christian faith, and now my faith is a lot more blurred at the edges, shall we say. But it's still a faith in God or source or the creator or something.
A
A
higher power. Yeah.
higher power, exactly, Linda. It doesn't need to have a name. I think the whole point about the higher power is why would it need a name?
Yeah.
It's higher power.
You know when I feel really close to God, Ross, I don't know if I've told you this before, but when I have my grandchildren, when I'm holding and playing with my grandchildren, and I look into my grandchildren's eyes, and that's where I see God, and that's when I feel the closest to God with my
Yes,
grandchildren.
and I believe that is in that chapter, Linda, because I talk about small children and how they live in the present moment.
Yes, they
They
do.
just
They
live
do.
in the present moment and they have that beautiful joy. And I agree with you. I mean, I've got a kitten at the moment, and before we a kitten, I've got so many pets, as you know, but I've got a particularly small kitten, and I was just watching it playing, and it was so lovely. It was kind of falling over itself and being silly and chasing a bit of cotton, and it was just nature for me. My go-to is nature,
Yeah.
100% nature. That I can be in the darkest of places, but particularly the beach. I mean, I love it where I live. I'm right in the middle of the countryside. I've got paddocks, I've got green fields, and that's really beautiful.
Mm.
But for me, the beach literally blows
Mm. Being near the sea. Mm.
cobwebs, a walk on the beach. So Yeah, and it's about finding, where your faith is kindled or where that connection is. As I say,
Mm,
for many people, it is in church or in a religion or, somewhere. I'm not here to tell you, I'm just giving you some options. And
mm,
yeah.
mm. Okay, so fitness then.
Well, mind and body, mind and body, mind and body, mind and body.
Body and
Um,
mind, body and mind.
Body and mind, body, body and mind. So you just can't, 100%, you can't have one without the other. And a lot of issues, as you know, particularly with the third part, mind, gut,
Mm,
body, or mind and gut, that important part of the body. So many things that we have. So depression can be caused by, what's going on in your gut. That it can be a physical cause manifesting itself as a mental issue, or your mental thoughts and your stress and your inability to shut off that itty bitty shitty committee and those voices in your head can create so much cortisol and stress in your body that you get an upset gut. So
yeah.
it's really about, you've got to nourish both. You've
Mm,
got to feed both well. And so that means don't put crap in your body and don't put crap in your mind. I
mm.
do not watch the news.
No,
Um, I do not watch the news. So it comes on the radio when I'm in the car, I turn it off.
I know, I'm the same.
Um,
I don't watch it.
I stay informed, as you know. I get a thing called the Week that has a summary of all the world's news for a week. I want to be informed. I don't want to be ignorant of what's going on, but I don't want to be in a permanent state of alarm. And that's basically what the news does, because it only plays on what's negative.
It does. Yeah,
And
it
then
does.
with terms of your body, obviously it's how you move it, it's how you treat it, it's what you do to it, it's the supplements you give to it, it's the procedures, colonics, etc. you give to it. Don't put ultra processed food into it. I mean, there's we've never lived in a time when there was more advice about all of these things, but sometimes it can be overwhelming. I
It
get
can. We just need to strip it back, don't we?
you
You know
do,
what?
you do.
What I often do, I often go back to my childhood and to when I used to go and visit my grandparents as well, and I think about what they used to eat and
Yes.
how they
It's quite
lived their
simple,
lives.
isn't
How they lived their lives. I mean, my maternal grandparents didn't have an inside loo; they had an outside loo.
it?
They didn't have a bath. They didn't have a bathroom as
Yeah,
such.
my great auntie Emma was the same. She didn't have a bath. She had a tin bath.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And everything was cooked from scratch. Everything.
Totally. Well, they grew a lot of it. I mean, that's what I plan to do next year. A lot of the vegetables, as it is, I'm very lucky. I live in Lincolnshire. I live in the middle of all the farming land, although some of it maybe you wouldn't eat. But I know who the small producers are, put it that way. I know who the people growing, more naturally and more organically are. And I go to a farmer's market every week and get produce from them, and then I'll be growing my own. And also it tastes so much better.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to friends and family.
So this is your tribe. Look, I know people who it would be a total deal breaker if I went, you know what you really need to do to be wealthy? Connect with your family. You'd be like, I get with
Crossing the red line.
yeah, with some people, the bridges have been so burnt that there isn't any going back. And I get that. But having that connection to your tribe, and we'll call it your friends and family, and maintaining that connection, particularly with friends, and you can choose your friends, you can choose who you're going to connect with and surround yourself with, is absolutely key. There are so many studies, proper scientific evidence about how much your life is shortened by being lonely, by being alone, by being unsupported. I mean, I think the shortening of your life by being alone is the same as smoking about 20 cigarettes a day. There's some study, some analogy.
Well, we're social beings, aren't we?
We are social beings, and I get that people like their own company. I like my own company. So
I
actually,
do. I'm quite
in that,
happy on
in that
my own,
chapter,
but not
I
all the time.
yeah, so I do a big paragraph about the difference between aloneness and
Yeah.
being alone. And there is a big difference between aloneness, I want to be alone, I want some time to
Mm.
myself, I need to, just be away from all the noise and everything, and being lonely and not having those social connections. So it is those social connections that are key.
You can be in this crowded room full of people and still feel very lonely, very isolated.
I've never felt more lonely than when I was in crowded rooms,
Mm,
particularly in my very life in the fast lane days in London in the 90s. I had more moments of loneliness and disconnect than I ever do now.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay, finance.
Well, you can't do a lot without it.
Oh,
So
we don't like to talk about money, do we? But as you say,
no. And look, here's the deal. I came to it from that very event, which made me realize that it wasn't the be all and end all. And yet I ended up with a lot of money. I then ended up with not so much.
mm,
And it is true, money doesn't buy you happiness, la 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 la. But you need a certain amount. You need a
mm,
certain amount, even if you're living off grid. And I know people who are building their own houses in Wales. They've bought a piece of land. They are literally building their own house. They've got solar panels. They're farming the land. They've got, proper small holding. They're going to raise pigs and chickens and eat them and all the whole 9 yards. And I think that's amazing. But you still need some
mm,
degree of finance. You still need something to fix the pump when it doesn't work, or to have a vehicle, because these places are usually very remote. And so what I tend to find is very, very spiritual people who are very much into, all the things that are wonderful in life, but they're absolutely terrible about finance. They're terrible about asking for money or valuing their gifts,
mm.
valuing what they bring. Oh well, I'm only I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a healer. He-
I'm just,
I'm a
mm,
healer. I'm a healer. Healers can't, it's wrong if I, well, no, it's not. So finance is really important. And I think I'm not saying I've entirely got it right. I'd probably quite like I would like to win the lottery. I just put it out there to the universe. That would be
do you
great.
buy a lottery ticket?
I do.
Ah,
Yeah, I do. Yes, because it helps to win the lottery if you buy a lottery ticket. Um, so, so I'm not saying I'm averse to a loads more money. And I feel I've got my balance of wealth better than I've ever had it in my whole life. I
mm,
love my life. I live a good life. I
mm,
still earn money and I still feel I'm worth it. And I give
mm.
value for what I give and my clients. And I have days when I just love making soup and walking on the beach.
Yeah,
And
just
it doesn't
pottering around.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, okay. So fun then.
Well,
What tips can you give us to have more fun in our lives?
well, I think again that thing of, if you didn't have joy in the first place, the people who are very pained because it's like I can't even really tap back into it. You've kind of hit the nail on the head earlier, Linda. So one of the things you can do is mirror people like children having fun.
Mm, mm,
If you kind of don't know how to do it, you don't have a feeling of I know what to do to have fun. Watch a 5-year-old, spend
mm,
time with a 5-year-old,
mm.
go and suggest that you make cookies with a 5-year-old. See how clean your OCD
It's
kitchen.
going to be messy.
Yes, see how clean your OCD kitchen stays then, and live in that way. So fun is, you have to give yourself permission to have fun. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to make it part of my daily routine. I'm going to make it available to myself. A lot of the issue with people who don't have fun is they don't think it's available, or they think there's always that price to pay. The when then, when I've finished my
Yes.
end of year accounts, then I
Oh,
can.
that's so fun. Yes,
And I'm
yeah.
not saying be irresponsible and don't do the things you're supposed to do, but have little bits of fun along the way. So instead of me going, when I've finished my book, then I can have a day off, it would be, when I finish this chapter, I'm going to take an hour's walk with the dog.
Yes, yes, that's right. I remember as a child, my mum chasing me around the house, and when she got hold of me, pinning me down and tickling me. And I do that with Jessie. my granddaughter, and she's so ticklish. And then she'll say, "Right, Grandma, I'm going to tickle you now." So I lie on my back on her bed in her room, and she's trying to tickle. Well, I'm not ticklish, Mum.
Do you have to pretend?
I have to pretend, yes, to be ticklish. And we just laugh and laugh, and that brings me so much joy. The
And
fun I
it's
have
how
with
can you
her.
have more joy in just the little things you do? Again, I
Mm.
keep harking back to end of year accounts. I did mine in November. I'm very proud of myself. I don't like doing them. And so I found ways to make it more fun. I listen to podcasts. I listen to really great music. I
Yeah.
take loads of breaks. I give myself little rewards along the way. So it's about bringing fun into every day, because I think adulthood is a bit overrated sometimes. And I think we've got to all be really sensible. And like with me, by that Ladybird book, so when the chapters were getting a bit much, I read that book and I killed myself, and it just made me,
Shall I
oh,
read something else from it,
oh
Ross?
my God, yeah, I've got it here, actually,
Oh,
Linda.
the one about the guy in the meeting, Ross,
I've got it here, look.
making a point. The guy in the meeting making a point.
Oh yeah, that one's brilliant. There's one about diet, actually, which is quite funny, which I think I'll find. Right, hang on. There's one about, and I'll show you that. I know what the picture is. This one, you'll like this one, okay?
Go on.
It
Go on,
says,
read it out.
since she turned fruitarian, Christine is feeling healthier and more energetic than ever. Although she uses a lot of that energy sprinting to the toilet. And then there's another one to do with diet as well, which I remember. That was really funny. Hang on. Oh, where has it gone? It's supposed to be right near the end. Honestly, for however much these books cost, they're well worth. Oh, here it is.
I think it's about £7.
This one, look, this one.
Oh yes. Gottfried and Melina. Go on, read it.
Says, Gottfried and Melina are trying a paleo-style diet based on the idea that we share 90% of our DNA with horses. It's awfully high in fiber.
Oh, you can't beat a good laugh, can you?
Yeah, you are fun. You see, fun.
Okay, well, I think we need to wind this up then, Ross. Thank you so much for being my guest again. As I say, you're always a super popular guest with the Just for Tummies community. So just remind us again then, your ebook is called
Reset Your Life in 7 Days. It's
Yes,
available on the 20th of January. I believe
on
you're...
Amazon. On Amazon.
No, I haven't. It won't be on Amazon yet. It's
Sorry, yes.
only
Okay.
through me.
Through
And
you.
so I believe you're going to put a link
We
on
will
your
put a link, yes, in the mailer that this video will also appear
Or
in. Yes.
otherwise, if anybody wants to email info@rosalynpalmer.com, we'll
Yes.
put you on the wait list, and we'll make sure you get it and get all the details and the payment details on the 20th.
info@rosalynpalmer.com.
Yeah, so info@rosalynpalmer.com.
Yeah, okay.
We're not some super slick organisation that's got all this totally, because I'm not here to just, I'm here to provide a brilliant thing, and then I kind of go, oh, I have to sell it now. So,
I know, but I think it will do very, very well. I can feel it in my bones, and I certainly can't wait to.
I feel it as well, Linda, and I feel it won't need much augmentation to get it to the paperback. I think what I can do is get some feedback, wait a little bit, and then it can actually come out, I would say, in the spring as a paperback. Then that will go onto Amazon, and I'm actually I'm pretty proud of it, actually. Yeah.
No, I never thought. Your reset, your blueprint book. I mean, that is a brilliant book, and I often still dip into it. Ross.
I know, me too. I revisited it. I was like, oh, I don't remember writing that. That was good.
Just full of so much great advice, and you bring all your experience and your wisdom to it. And I'm just thinking maybe we ought to do some kind of competition on Just for Tummies for people to win a
Oh,
copy of your book. Yeah,
yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, because that's
lovely.
obviously that's yeah. They're about 14.99 on
Yes,
Amazon.
now that one is available on Amazon,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's available in every format. It's even available as an audiobook. I recorded it.
Oh, did you? What, you
I
read
did.
it all? You read it
I
all?
read the whole book. I hated it, Linda. I hated it.
Mm,
I can't tell you. I thought I'd love it because, as you know, I used to have a radio show and a podcast. I certainly am not backwards at coming forwards and speaking. But
no.
when you are reading your own book, and also you have to sit so still, the microphone is so, it picks up everything. At one point, I did that, and they were like on their headphone going, stop, stop moving, stop rustling. So you have to sit like super still. And you're trying to bring the intonation and everything into the book. Anyway, I have had feedback that it's good, but I didn't enjoy the process, I must say.
Okay, well, look, Ros, give my love to Kev. Where is he?
He's out and about,
Out and about, yeah.
out
So
and about with the
give
dog.
my love to Kev, and
Thank you.
again, thank you so
Ditto.
much. And
Ditto.
thank you, everyone, for listening. And I hope you enjoy this video and buy Rosa's new ebook.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so much,
much,
Ros.
Linda.
Thank you.
Lovely. Okay, bye.